From architecture to painting and sculpture, literature to live music and theater. Radio 111 presents Bonnie G and Brian Mendoza with The Desert Scene, your connection to culture and entertainment in the desert cities. Here's Bonnie and Brian.
And welcome to The Desert Scene. I'm here with Brian Mendoza, who's keeping us running with the board and everything, all the tech stuff. And we're really happy to welcome to The Desert Scene today David A. Lee, who I just kind of met through technology recently. He's a photographer and has a really interesting background. Hi, David. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you all today?
Good. So I had heard his name before, but I sort of met David A. Lee. There's another David Lee. They get confused when I was in the desert. I wrote a review about a show at Desert, and he responded he liked my review, and we just started chatting, and I said, why don't you come on the show? So your main thing is photography, right? Tell us a little bit about how you got into photography, and you photograph things all over the desert, yes?
I do. I sort of specialize in special event shooting, but I shoot a lot of other things, portraits and real estate and a little bit of everything. But I've been shooting since I was a little kid. I'm from Rochester, New York originally, and my dad worked for Eastman Kodak for 35 years.
Wow.
And so we always had new little gadgets and new little Instamatic cameras, and I have been shooting since I was really young, and took some photography classes when I was 15 at a community center in Rochester and learned how to do black and white printing and really loved it, and then let it go for literally decades because I had many other careers in between. I worked for an airline for 10 years. I worked in training and development for Saks Fifth Avenue. And then eventually I met my husband and we started writing together, screenplays, and that took us into a totally different direction. And then I just picked up a camera, one of the new digital cameras about 15 or 16 years ago and started shooting, and people said, you're pretty good. Maybe we should hire you for this and that. And all of a sudden I started getting paid to be a photographer, and have loved it and continue to write with Daniel and also do a lot of photography here in town.
Excellent. Now, what I know this is a really broad question, but just in general, what would you say makes a good photographer?
Oh, well, I think a photographer, well, it depends on what kind of photography.
Okay, how about events? Let's see.
I do special events photography, and I have to be really out there with my subjects. I have to talk to them. I have to be friendly with them. I have to like people, which thankfully I do. Whereas if you're a landscape photographer, you probably don't even care about people because you don't want people in your photos.
Right.
But I have to really be there very close with my clients and with my subjects to get the kind of photos that they want. Now,
when you're doing events, this is an interesting question. Is it the event's responsibility or your personal responsibility? What if you're an event, you're talking to some people, and someone says, "I don't want to be in any pictures. I don't want to be in any pictures." You have to be real careful about that.
Yeah, occasionally that happens, and we make jokes about there and witness protection or something. But sometimes they just don't feel pretty.
Yeah,
they don't want their photo taken.
Yeah,
and I respect that because, frankly, I'm not one to love to have my own photo taken, so I really understand that.
Yeah. So I want to just mention a few things. You're the official photographer for the Palm Springs International Film Festival, Palm Springs Modernism Week, and Cinema Diverse, the Palm Springs LGBTQ Film Festival. You're voted Best Event Photographer by the readers of Gannett's Desert Outlook in the magazine's Palm Springs 2016 Ultimate Pride list. And your work's been published in many outlets, just a couple: ABC News, Dwell Magazine, Huffington Post, Palm Springs Life, San Francisco Bay Times, The Advocate, The New York Times. Wow. What I know you've done thousands and thousands of photographs over the years.
Oh, yeah.
Are there a couple that really stand out for you, or events that really stand out for you as, wow, I just captured that moment perfectly?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was the official photographer for the film festival for 3 years. I haven't done it in the last couple of years, but taking pictures of really interesting celebrities, you know, I just kind of can't beat it. Taking pictures of Mariah Carey on the red carpet at the film festival when she was a little more than tipsy and literally put the film festival on the map.
I was there that night. I was there. I was a guest that night, and I remember, yes, she had a lot to drink. Yeah.
She did. She was drinking. She was very happy with her champagne. And one photo. Julia Roberts, I could shoot all day. But, you know, I like shooting people. I like photographing people. It's hard to keep using that word shooting.
But, yes, I hear you. Yeah.
I know. But I love photographing people, and a part of that is making a connection with that person when you're actually taking photos of them. They have to trust you. I mean, if there's a real intimacy there, sometimes on the red carpet, it's just like you're lucky that they're looking in your direction, because there could be 50 photographers all trying to get that perfect shot.
So you do, but you do sometimes do portraits as well?
I do. I've had a number of people approach me to do like book cover portraits and things like that. So yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm on my way in just a few minutes to shoot a musical group. Some people know them here. They're called the Dreamboats.
Yes.
They perform a lot for Modernism Week, and I'm doing a shoot for them at noon today.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So when you're doing portraits, particularly if it's a single person, I would imagine that then it's even more important to have that connection, personal connection.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, the trust, because they want to know that I'm going to make them look as good and real as they possibly can look, without making them not look like themselves, because you know they should look like themselves.
Yes. What do you find? I'm interested. Because I'm an actress and singer, did some modeling a long time ago, and for years I was somebody who didn't really like to smile that much, because I felt like it made my nose look big, and I would always I'd get a photographer, tell me a joke, make me laugh, and then I'll get a natural smile. Do you find that that's a big issue with people?
Yeah, there are a lot of people who don't want to smile. You know, teeth are a really big deal these days, as you see when you go to the grocery store and see 5,000 teeth whitening products. So there are some people who are just a little nervous about that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I always tell people I have a magic lens on my camera, and it's going to make them look beautiful. And then, of course, I come home and I do my editing. And sometimes I need to, do a little brightening of the teeth. But I never like to go too far with portraits, because I want them to look like who they are. And if you take off every wrinkle and, every little spot on their face,
then they don't.
Then they don't look like who they are.
Yeah. Is there an event or a celebrity or something sort of on your photography bucket list that you'd love to photograph?
Oh, well, I'd love to photograph, on the red carpet at the Oscars. I mean, that's like the cream of the crop. Subjects, and I won't always say looking their best, because sometimes they wear something that
outrageous things. Yes,
are you wearing? But even that is fun, and actually one of the things my husband and I say is we'd like to be on that staff to write that Academy Awards, because that would be fun too. And I have done that, where Daniel and I have written. We've been writing the Palm Springs International Film Festival Awards Gala show for over 10 years.
Wow.
And much of that time, I've also been a photographer, so I'm running back and forth, working with him backstage, as well as running around shooting the event.
Right, and I wanted to ask you a little bit more about the writing. So screenplay. So have you two written a screenplay that's been actually produced?
Well, we wrote for a very fun little MTV show many years ago, and that was all produced. And then, frankly, we've written a lot of great screenplays. We've sold a number of them, and we're still waiting for them to be produced. We're actually working on one right now where we're just in the midst of selling it, and it's a Christmas movie because they're very popular these days.
Yeah.
And so we're working. The script is written. We're just working on getting the final sale go through.
When you're writing, interested in this, when you're writing with somebody else together, how does that work? You both just kind of sit down and brainstorm and throw ideas back and forth, and one person types them up, or how does that work as a team?
Well, we've written, oh boy, maybe 25, 30 screenplays, and literally every single one is different. But for the most part, what we do is we break the story together. We used to actually use a whiteboard, and now we do it on a computer and put it on the TV, and we sit in our living room and type up lots and lots of notes, and we come up with the actual story and all the beats of the story. And then one of us will take the first stab at it and take notes and write a first draft. And then the other one will go behind it and do a first edit. And we go back and forth 3 or 4 times before we have a script that we want to show to anybody.
Mm-hmm. Great. I love it. Well, David A. Lee, now, do you have a website if someone wanted to see your work or maybe hire you to do their portrait?
Yes.
What's your website?
I do, and it's very, very easy. It's davidaleephotography.com.
Okay, can't be easier than that. Well, listen, so glad to have you. So glad to have you on the show, and nice to speak, verbally instead of just on the phone. And continued success with all your photography projects and your screenplays. You have to let us know when you get a screenplay produced. I'll have it back, and you can talk about that.
I definitely will. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks.
You too. Have fun with the dreamboats today. All right, David A. Lee. Thank you so much to him, and we'll see you guys the next time on the Desert Scene.